Hello, my loves, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's Studio Sessions episode 11. Real quick before I begin, I just wanted to let you guys know I'm having a 20% off sale. The code is Solstice, and it can be applied to any orders of prints or stickers, and you can find the sale at happyd-artist.com. So as my channel is growing older and I'm becoming more familiar with making YouTube videos, I'm also lately beginning to realize the importance of being a lot more honest and vulnerable and honestly more courageous. When I first started this channel, I wanted everything I produced to be like a motivational speech. I wanted everything to be almost like a pep talk. And through my last video, I loved hearing everyone's responses. And my last video, I shared a lot of really vulnerable and sometimes more candid and raw stories from my life. And it made me kind of open my eyes to how beneficial and how motivating sometimes a not so positive topic could be. I don't think a story has to be a pep talk in order to be encouraging. I think sometimes being more candid and being more vulnerable can actually help motivate people in a more honest way. So today I really wanted to talk about my biggest fears as an artist. These are things that I used to keep hidden because I wanted to have this image of someone who was always upbeat and always, motivated and always enthusiastic to keep moving forward and to keep rising up. But, truth is I deal with stress and fears just like any other human being, if not more so now that I've become a full-time artist. So I just wanted to share with you guys some of my biggest fears, and I don't really have a solution as to how I'm going to deal with them, but I thought I would just share them with you guys. The first biggest fear I have relates to social media, and I think it's because social media demands consistent, fresh content. That's just kind of the nature of the game. And, it's funny because oil painting is inherently the opposite. It's a very slow and meticulous process. And I'm trying to balance that with the pressure to always create something new. I feel like social media, and I'm not saying I'm exempt from this, I'm definitely part of the issue here, but social media has a very short attention span. And once we consume a type of content, whether it's a video or a photo, it becomes boring, it becomes old news almost instantaneously. So there's always a pressure to create something new, to capture attention. And, with the short attention span of the online world, I always feel like I have to constantly reinvent myself and pump out new, fresh ideas out of fear of boring my audience. And I don't have the patience to fully explore, an old concept or an old idea and fully fine-tune it or perfect it. And I think I'm missing out on a lot of that. Always having to come up with new things, you don't get as much time to devote to fully realizing the potential of an idea before you move on to the next one. And I don't want social media to take over as my number one priority, but the reality of the situation, I think the great thing about being an artist in this modern day and age on social media is because it is a great way to keep yourself afloat. It is a great way to, keep your business alive and to be able to earn enough money to continue doing what you love. So I'm definitely not planning on putting social media aside, but sometimes I really do fear that it will take over and become my number one priority, that I'm going to create artwork and everything I do will be for social media rather than the other way around, where I'm creating artwork for me and social media is just a way to share it. So at times, one of my biggest fears is that I'll lose focus and I'll forget kind of the magic and the joy of just simply creating art, and then I'll get sucked into the toxicity and the competitiveness of social media, and that's one of my biggest fears. Another huge fear of mine is the stress of balancing. As you guys know, I have like an Instagram, I have YouTube, I have Patreon, I have an online shop where I print and package and ship a bunch of orders. I have gallery shows, I have commissions, and while I'm really interested in and also thankful for every opportunity, I think for me, it's hard for me to create balance, especially during times when there's a huge deadline coming up. So in certain times of the month or year, different things become priorities. So the months or weeks leading up to a solo show, painting and building my pieces for the show becomes my number one priority, and social media and YouTube videos might take a backseat. And in the winter holiday months, my online shop becomes the biggest priority because that's when people are purchasing the most prints. And so then, maybe creating new artworks and painting becomes less of a priority. And for me, my problem is I feel like I tend to sometimes ignore everything else when one task demands my full attention. Like the stress of having to finish one important task or one important deadline causes me to neglect other things. And I want to be able to really balance my schedule and balance my workload so that I don't neglect other aspects of my career while still giving one aspect the special priority, special attention that it needs. And it's something I haven't quite mastered, and it's a huge source of stress and fear for me because I'm really scared that if I don't tend to every avenue of my career, if I don't maintain everything at least once a week or every few days, that it'll become forgotten or obsolete. And so during periods of time where I have major deadlines coming up and I really do have to prioritize that big deadline over my other tasks and other platforms, it is a huge source of stress and panic for me. And then my final biggest fear is burnout. And it's something that plagues any person doing any sort of career, or honestly, even in school, you probably feel it too. But, there's a huge difference between being self-employed and going to school or going to a regular 9-to-5 office job. So when I was in school, usually someone else told me what my schedule was. Like someone else gave me homework, someone else told me when the homework was due, someone else set the dates for the final exams, someone else told me which days were winter break, which days were summer break, and which days I could take off to relax. And same thing at work, someone else told me when to go to work, when to leave work. When the clock strikes 5 and the work day is over, I'm done for the day, and I can just kind of leave all of that stress behind in the office. And it was really easy to compartmentalize the stress of my job or school away from my downtime or my relaxation time at home. And when I became self-employed, it was so different. I had to give myself tasks to complete and set deadlines on my own. And I could choose whether or not to say yes to every show or commission or big project that came my way. And because I am now kind of a workaholic, I tend to bite off more than I can chew. So I say yes to everything, and then I get overwhelmed with all the work I have to do. And even if I didn't have major deadlines coming up, I always felt like I could be doing more. Like there could always be another video to make, there could always be another painting to do. And so there's no limit to the amount of work that I could or should be doing. And therefore I'm unable to separate work from my downtime because it's constantly on my mind, and my entire existence just becomes consumed by the work that I think I should be doing. And when I overwork myself, it's detrimental to my creativity, it's detrimental to my physical health. I'm not as able to create new and fresh ideas. I'm physically exhausted, and so I'm not as focused. And everything basically ends up suffering if I don't let myself relax and reset periodically. So yeah, these are my biggest fears as an artist. I mean, I have so many more fears and stress factors, but these are the few major ones that I try to combat daily. I don't really know exactly how to get over fears. I think it's just a matter of practicing and becoming more efficient and learning to confront your fears rather than being in denial of them, and acknowledging that they exist and trying to not let those fears discourage you too much. So thank you guys so much for listening to me rant. If you guys have any fears of your own, whether it's art related or maybe in school and in life, I'd love to hear it. So feel free to share them in the comments below. I'm sure everyone else would love to know that, they're not alone in feeling stressed or feeling anxious. And I hope you guys have a great summer. Those of you who are still in school doing finals, I wish you the best of luck. Those of you who are out of school, definitely enjoy your summer break. And thank you all so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. You guys are the best. And I'll hopefully catch you guys in the next video. Bye!